Men, women, and children follow a group of teenagers along with their parents as they try to navigate the way the internet has changed their lives through their relationships, communication, and self-image. Now, the key word for me in the synopsis is change, and I'll get a little bit more into that later on in the review. But this movie is a social commentary movie, and it reminds me a lot of another movie under the same premise, Crash. And the reason why I say it reminds me a lot of that movie is because with Crash, they make the subject matter the villain in the movie. And it just overdoes it a lot and just beats it home a little bit too much. And it's no different in this movie, where they use the internet as the villain and use it as a plot device throughout the movie, which is fine. But what they did in this movie, they make the internet and social commentary or social media the main villain in the movie and let that tell a story instead of the characters feeling authentic and let the characters tell a story through social media. I also feel that when you do that, it force feeds the audience and takes the audience out of it, because I feel when you're going through a social commentary movie, I feel that the characters should flow freely instead of just be constrained to the subject matter at hand, where the subject tells the story instead of the characters telling the subject matter itself, if that makes any sense. But the way it does it, it doesn't feel authentic. And like I said before, the key word is change in the synopsis. And for certain characters, you can do that for this type of movie, but not all. And especially with the young characters in the movie, you can't really say how the internet's changed their lives, because they don't know their lives. They don't know lives prior to the internet. So you really can't say that the internet has changed their lives unless they lived before it. Now, you can do it with the older characters because they lived before the internet was in its prime age. Now, where, like I said before, they use the internet as the villain, which is fine, but you also got to make it to where it's effective. And this movie doesn't do that because, like I said before, it's supposed to show that how the internet has changed their lives. Now, the older characters in this movie, they already had problems prior to the internet. So when you have the older characters dealing with their problems prior to the internet, it takes the internet out of the equation, where the internet's not really the problem. And I feel this is where this movie suffered. Like I said before, it makes the internet the villain and it just force feeds you a lot to the audience, where it takes the audience out of the moment and the experience. When you force feed the social commentary of the internet, you have to go more than surface stuff. You got to go actually deep into the story. That's why I say Men, Women, Children is a lot like Crash, because it force feeds you the social commentary, but then doesn't do really anything to expound on it. And I don't mind if you force feed the audience, but you have to do a lot more with the story for it to hit home with you than what it actually did. And I feel that it doesn't take the subject matter and make it feel authentic to what it is. And I feel that another movie does this a lot better with social commentary is Disconnect. And Disconnect dealt with social media. And the way it handled that particular subject, it made the social media as a backdrop to telling a story. Unlike this, they make the internet as telling the story instead of the backdrop, which it doesn't feel right because you're making the characters one note and generic. With Disconnect, the characters were a little bit more fluent, a little bit more authentic in a way. With these characters in here, in Men, Women, and Children, it just felt that it was just following a road that didn't go anywhere. But if you're going to force feed the social commentary of the internet, it has to go different ways. This movie didn't do it. And when you make the internet the villain, I feel that you have to make the characters be who they are because of the internet. Because you're not showing how the internet is really dangerous if the characters already had their problems prior to that. So your point is not really valid because your problems already are there. So your subject matter or your point you're trying to get off is not really effective because the issues or the problems that these characters had, they had it already without the internet. And I feel that the subject matter that this movie did go for didn't really expound anything new on the subject matter as a whole. It just said, okay, this is the internet, that's that, and it doesn't go anywhere. Is it a terrible movie? No, but you expected a lot more out of it, especially out of Jason Reitman, who's done Up in the Air and Juno, which I really like Up in the Air, and I haven't seen Juno. But the plot points are there, but it really wasn't expounded upon the way it should have. Because when you have something like this, you can't just go surface. You gotta make the characters feel authentic and make the characters have the problems because of the internet instead of prior to the internet, if that makes any sense. So I'm gonna give Men, Women, and Children, 3 out of 5 stars. It could have been a lot better. And the only bright spot in this movie is the fact that the acting was solid, but the story could have been a lot better than what it was going for. So guys, if you've seen Men, Women, Children, let me know what you guys think of it. Like it, hate it, and also let me know what's your favorite Jason Reitman movie. As always guys, please rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.